Thank you all and welcome to my session, an easy way to process a complex XML or JSON file using Azure Data Factory. So in this demo, we are going to see a XML file, but you can apply same thing for JSON file as well. So this is me. I'm Alpa Buddhaphatti and I'm working as a lead Azure data engineer or consultant at Azure Solution. I'm Microsoft certified trainer and I'm certified in Azure developer, Azure data engineer, and Azure data scientist. You can find me in Twitter, LinkedIn, or you can find a GitHub repo in here, or I have blogs in Medium as well, so you can find using this user ID. And you can find my YouTube videos as well, which is in here. And I'm also providing some training regarding Azure Data Factory. So if you are interested, you can join me in here. So that's me. Now let's start today's agenda. So today's agenda is divided into three main parts. So in first part, we're going to see a quick overview of Azure Data Factory, and then we're going to see a series of demo. And here we use XML data file, but you can apply same thing for JSON file as well. And then we see a Q&A. So let's start with first one, Azure Data Factory overview. So what is Azure Data Factory? So Azure Data Factory is a cloud-based data integration service that orchestrates and automates the movement and transformation of your data at a scale. It is also Azure Platform as a Service and it's a serverless. And because of these two reasons, you don't need to worry about compute infrastructure, software installation, web server configuration, operating system, or implementing your monitoring tool or similar things. Azure will do it for you. So you can fully focus on implementation and you can build your, requirements very quickly and very easily. Third one is you only pay for what you have used. So because of the above two reason, you only pay if you using your Azure Data Factory is executing. Otherwise, you won't get any charge. But however, you get a very small amount of charge for storage, which can be negligible. So it's a cost effective. So here, for example, if you have Azure Data Factory and inside you have more than one pipeline, let's say you have 100 pipelines. But if you are not executing your pipeline, then you won't get any charge for execution. You will get very, very small amount of charge for storage, so which can be negligible. Last but not least, it's a low code or no code solution. So you just need to drag and drop components, you just set few properties and you can build your pipelines very easily and very quickly. So this is Azure Data Factory. Now let's see key components of Azure Data Factory. So you will get idea how you can create your first Azure Data Factory if you are new. So first one is a linked service. So if you compare this linked service with SSIS, then in SSIS you have a connection manager. Similar to here, you have a link service which hold the connections link, which authorize your data source, so which can be used by other component in your Azure Data Factory. Next one is a data set. So data sets represent a data structure or reference of your data or metadata of your data. So it can be in form of the file, folder, or a table. So for example, if your link service is pointing to a REST API, then your data sets in form of the JSON file. But if your link service is pointing to Azure SQL database, then your data sets in form of a table. And if your link service is pointing to a blob storage, then it can be a file or folder format. So this is a data set. Next one is activities. So as we know now, Azure Data Factory is a no-code or low-code solution. But what if you would like to write down a logics where you need for each loop or if condition, or maybe you calling some other Azure services, which you do in other programming language. But here you can use activity. So activity do a specific task, and in Azure Data Factory, you will see there are a lot of activities available. We will see later on in demo as well. So that is activity. Pipelines. So pipeline is a logical group of your activities, which do a specific business outcomes, and inside your pipeline you can have a steps in form of the activities, and your activity can be in a parallel or sequential or mix of them. So that is your pipeline, which basically do a business requirements or workflow. So once you have ready your pipelines, you need to run your pipeline. So for that you can use triggers, you can do debugs, manually, or you can run manually triggers, or you can schedule your pipeline as well. So these are the 5 main components. Apart from that, there is one which is runtime, integration runtime, which provide a compute infrastructure. So these are the main key components of Azure Data Factory. Now let's see what can you do in Azure Data Factory. So you will get idea why you need Azure Data Factory, or in which situation you use Azure Data Factory. So copy data. So you can copy your data from one source to another source. So here are a simple data source. For example, you can copy your data from other cloud services, for example, AWS or Google Cloud. You can copy your data from on-premise system, for example, SQL or SFTP or Oracle DB. You can copy your data from SaaS system, for example, Salesforce, CRM 365. You can copy even in Azure Function. You can call HTTP web call or REST API. So these are the simple data source. So first you need to select your source, and then you need to do some settings. So once you do select your source, you do some settings, then you need to select your sync data source. So this way you will create your pipeline having a copy activity. And once you run your pipeline, your data move from source to sync. So in Azure Data Factory, at the moment, there are 100 data sources available, which you can use as a source or as a sink or both of them. And this link will help you to find out which data source you use as a source or as a sink or both of them. And this is called a data movement. So you can do a data movements in Azure Data Factory. And if you need a data movements requirements, then you can use Azure Data Factory. So next one is a data transformation. So you can do a data transformation using the Azure Data Factory, which is a no-code or low-code solution. So you just drag and drop components, and then you can apply some transformation. So first you need to select your source. Your source can be any one of these. And there are more other sources also available. Then you will apply a transformation. So you can do join two different data sources. You can add new columns. You can apply some aggregation function, and there are many more. So those are the transformation. You apply your transformation, and then you will select your sync. And once your data flow ready, you can call it in your pipeline and you can run it. And at the end of the execution of your pipeline, your data move from a source to sync, plus it applies the transformation as well. So this is a mapping data flow, and behind the scene it's used Apache Spark cluster. So without writing a code in programming language like Scala, Python, and Java, you still can get the same features using the mapping data flow, but which is a no-code or low-code one. So at the moment, there are around 18 data sources available. But if your source is not available in this list, then you can use the most commonly data source, for example, blob storage or data lake gen 2 or Azure SQL database. And this is a link which helps you to find out more information about a source. And this is called a data transformation. So if you have a requirements to do data movements and data transformation, you can use Azure Data Factory. So now let's move into what else you can do. So you can also create your pipeline. So once you create your pipeline or create any components using UI, behind the scene is generate a JSON code for you. And it's generated automatically. So you don't need to worry about it at all. And this code will use to do help to do a source control. Next one is a built-in Git integration. So at the moment you have a two integration available inbuilt, which is Azure DevOps Kit and GitHubs. Next one is you can monitor your pipelines or other components in Azure Data Factory using UI very easily and very quickly as well. And you can manage them as well. And last but not least, you can trigger it. So you can trigger your pipeline various different way. You can trigger based on a specific time, like for example, 4 p.m. In evening, or maybe 4 a.m. in morning, or a specific day on specific time. And when that time comes, your pipeline will execute automatically. Or you can use a storage event, for example, file created or deleted from your blob storage, and you would like to execute your pipeline, then you can use that as well. If your condition is not found in ABO 2, then you can write down your own code. You can do a custom activity. You can write down your code in Azure Function, in Power Logic Apps, PowerShell, or a C# code, or many other programming language. And based on that, your pipeline will execute. So this is a quick overview of Azure Data Factory. So now let's see a demo. So there are three different demo we have. So first we'll see a very simple file, XML file, and we will use a copy activity. So now let's see here. So this is my file1.xml. You can see here, and I have a catalogs, and then inside I have a books object, and then inside you can see that it's a very simple one-to-one mapping. So you can see that this is very simple file. So if you use this file in a copy activity, then it will work fine, and it give you either whole file or even a individual selected column. So here I need only the author field, title field, and price field. So three items I needed. So I can get this easily using the copy activity, or I can get whole file as well. So let's go to in browser. So before we go into that particular demo, I would like to show you what resources I have used. So first of all, I have used Azure Keywords. So I have used Azure Keywords, and I have stored here secrets. So there are two main secrets, Azure Blob Storage and Azure SQL Connection. So I have used the keywords. The main purpose of using the keywords is to security purpose, because it's no one will know unless and until you updating that secrets. Only the person who updating the secrets, they know the secrets. Otherwise other people are not know. So like for example, you have a DevOps team, you have a data engineer team. So data engineer team do not need to know secrets. So DevOps team can know, but data engineer team cannot know. So if you use the keywords, so keywords hold the secrets, and it's hold in a central place. So for example, you have more than one system and they're using Azure SQL database, and tomorrow you need to change a password. So you don't need to go and change three different systems and like changing new password and then deploy them. You can change your password in a central place in a keywords, and other system automatically get it. So that is another benefit apart from security. So this is the keywords, and here you need to provide access policy if you like to access this keyword by Azure Data Factory. Otherwise, it won't be able to access. So that is the main important things. So let's close now keyword. So that is the keyword. So now let's see what is my source and sink. So my source is Azure SQL, Azure storage. So this is Azure storage. And here I have the XML demo container which hold the source file. So this is the source file. So this is for demo 1, demo 2, and demo 3. Okay. So this is the same file which we have recently seen. If you can see here quickly. So yeah, so it has a catalog and it has a simple books. Okay. So they have, I think, 4 or 5 entities. So this is, I think, 8 entities. Okay. So this is a book, but it's very simple. It's not containing any array or nested JSON or nested XML object. It's very simple one-to-one mapping. So this is a very simple XML file. So that is my source, and this is my sink. But I think for demo 1 and demo 2, we have a same blob storage. So this is my sink for that. So at the moment is empty, but once I run demo 1, you will see here file 1 created. So now let's go to SQL DB. SQL DB I have used for demo 3, and here you will see output of 2 tables in here. So that is the second sink. So yeah, and this is Azure Data Factory. So now let's see a demo 1. So before we go into deep dive, let's see here in Manager tab, link services. So as I said, links, what is link service earlier, we know now. So this is the link service. So I have a keyword, so I need to create one link service for keyword. I have a blob storage as the source, so I need one link service for blob storage. And as my source and sink both are different type, that's why I need to create another link service for SQL DB. But if I have another like my sink also blob storage, and if the same blob storage, I can use a one link service, and I can even parameterize it as well. So this is a link service, and you can see that JSON code here, which is automatically generated. So there are 3 link services. So you can see that here, benefit of using the keywords. So you can see that I have connected with keywords, and here as a data engineer, you don't know here that which storage account or which SQL database I have used, which username and which password. So you don't know anything about by looking into this. So that is a security one. And this is a blob storage. And looking into this as well, you cannot say that which blob storage I have used and what is the secret of it. So this is the one. I used the keyword here as well. And this is a keyword link service. So these are the link service. Now let's go to pipeline, and let's go to demo one. So this is a demo one. So I have used here copy activity. And so first of all, you need to drag and drop copy activity from here, like this way. So once you drag and drop, you will see here two highlight one for source and sync. So you have to do some settings and then it will work. So let's delete this out. So I have dragged that one, and then here you can see that this is my source. So here I need to provide my source data source. So here you can see that this is a data set which pointing to XML demo, which is in here. XML demo, and is pointing to this file. So here you can see that it's pointing to a file, but actually I have used the same data set for more than one pipeline. So I have parameterized it. So I'm passing anyway file1.xml. Okay. And that's very simple. No need to do any other changes. And this is the parameter you can see here. And that's I'm passing from the copy activity. So you will see that in here. So see here I'm passing the file1.xml. Okay. So for this pipeline, it will use this file and then as a source file, and this is my sync file, which is the file1.csv. And this is my sync data set. So it's a CSV kind of data set. And here you can see that it's storing the result into this container, which is a XML demo output container. And here I'm passing the file name, which is a file1.csv. And these are the other things. And if header you need it, then you can say first row is a header, and these are the specific parameters related to your CSV file formats, because CSV file have a comma separated and line delimited, and if you like to escape any character, so these are the one. So now if I run this pipeline, it will copy that XML file, which is this one, this complex XML file, not complex, simple XML file here, and it will move a data into CSV format, and it's in here in another container, which is this container. So it's have generated this file in recently. You can see timestamp as well, and when I open this file, you will see data as well. So these are the data, but let's download it. And if I open this data, this file, if I open, then you will see a data as well. So this is the one. So these are the fields, but this is a very simple file. So you can have this like, XML to CSV or XML to JSON, or vice versa, like JSON to XML or JSON to not XML, JSON to CSV. Or you can do same thing with a table as well. But I have used here blob storage, but you can have a table. Okay. So now let's go to here. So that's run successfully, and you can monitor in here as well. And you can see here more information. Okay. So it's blob storage to blob storage, but you can have a database as well here, table. And here you can see some more information, if it's queuing time, or like, how much time it took for transform or actual read or write. So those are the copy activities. So that is a demo one. So now let's go back to here. So we have moved, because this is a very simple file, you can have either table format, or you can store it in blob storage or data lake gen 2. So that is a demo one. Now let's move into another one, which is now I have a same file, but I have added slightly complex situation. So here you can see that. So this information are same, but I have added here one array element or a complex element, which is the languages. And languages is a array kind of items. It's not like simple string or integer kind of data. And you can see this is only thing is here it has only and only one child. So this array has only one child, which is a language, which is English. And even in second item also, or even whole file, they have array, but it has only one item. So if you have this situation, then also you can use a copy activity and you can store a result into either a table or a blob storage. So if I go back here for second demo, so let's go to here. So this is a second demo, and let's close this. So here also very similar thing to first one, but now I'm passing the file to. So my source, I'm passing the file2.xml, and my sink, I'm passing the file2.csv. Okay, and this is the mapping one, which apply in same first case as well. Here I'm selecting my collection because I have XML file and I have a one collection, which is a catalog books collection. And you can see here you can do mappings as well. You can change a type as well, and you can give any name as well, and even you can remove or you can add new fields as well here. So these are the mappings. If you don't select mappings, then it will not give you anything. File will be empty. You have to select a mapping. Otherwise, you use a binary source and binary sinks. At that time, you will fully move your file from source to sink. But here you have to select your mapping. So these are the mapping. And now let's run this one. So let's see here, not file one. So at the moment I have a file one here, but once this execute pipeline, you will see another file as well in here. And here, this is a second file. So this is my source data. And I think we have seen recently in diagrams as well. So here you can see that I have a book element objects, and here you can see that it has a simple data as well. And it has an array as well. Sorry, languages as an error. But it has only one item. That's the thing. It is a complex, but it have only single items. So that's why copy activity do a job correctly. And if I go to now in here, output container. So this file has generated, which is file2.csv, and you can see new timestamp as well, recent timestamp. And if I open this file, let's download as well. So you can see this data, and you can see this language, which is languages, which is a array element, but you can see in output as well without any issue. So if you have a situation like simple XML file or simple JSON file, or it's a slightly complex because it has an array but it has always a single item, then you can use a copy activity, and you don't need to use a mapping data flow for that. So now let's go back to in here. Sorry, yeah. So this is a very simple, simple but little bit slightly have X element, but it's still work fine. Now let's move into third demo. So this is a third demo. This is the complex XML file. But same things you can apply for a complex JSON file as well. But I have used a XML file. But here I am using the mapping data flow. Because if I use copy data flow, I will show you how you will use in copy data flow and how it will work as well. So this is my requirements. So I have a catalog and I have 4 elements: book 1, book 2, book 3, and book 4. And they all have 2 other objects. You have a languages and they have a types. And this time language element has a 3 elements, or 2 or 1 or 0. As same as the type as well, it has a 2, 3 or 1 or 0 or n number of items. So my requirements is I would like to have a denormalized output. So I would like to read my complex XML JSON file, and I would like to make sure that it has in a separate table. So I would like one table for languages. So for example, you can see in this example, so this is the author, and this is the title in here, and then I have three entries for English, Hindi and Gujarati, because this author and this title of book has written in three different languages. So I need this table. So that's need a denormalization. And same way I need for another array type, which is a types, and here they have audio and video. So for this example, for book 4, I need item in table like this way. So it has a book name, title, type, which is audio, and title. So here you can see that even though I have a one book, but because they have two types of type, audio and video, so I have two entries in this table, and here I have three entries for this table. And you can have the same way another table which is price and maybe something else and else. So you can do same thing, that thing as well. So this we need a denormalization, and here we need, you know, like items in array we would like to convert them into a number of row. So for example, here my items in this array is 3. That's why I need a 3 row in output. So in this situation, you can use a flatten transformation in Azure Data Factory in mapping data flow. So flatten transformation help you to do a denormalization, as well as it will convert your number of item in array into a number of individual row. So this is my requirements, but what if I use with a copy activity? So if I use that with a copy activity, then what it will do? It will only return only first item in that array. And my expected result is this. So I cannot use a copy activity. So I will show you if I have a demo with copy activity as well. And another demo is with a mapping data flow. So this is example of mapping data flow. So now you can see that I have a languages, and I have a types. So I need two different entities, two different tables. So this table for languages and this table for types, and I need one more table for price as well. So that's you can easily do using the mapping data flow. You can do it very quickly. In few minutes, you can build your mapping data flow, and you can denormalize your complex file into a different tables as well.
Alpa, so if I may interrupt you, Eric has a question. Can we also get the book ID into the tables?
Yeah, you can do that as well. You can have book IDs, and you can have even this all table field as well, because I will show you in demo, because in demo I selected more fields as well. So you can have these other fields which is here, which is not an array kind of, you can have those as well. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So if we go to demo here, so these all things I have captured in my blog in here as well. So you can see that the same scenario, I have all scenario covered, which is I have in here as well. So if you like to know in more detail one, so you can see in here as well. So yeah, let's go to here. So this is a demo 3, and I think here I have used a copy activity. As I said, if I use copy activity, then what happened? Okay, so same thing, we have a copy activity, and here you can see we have a source settings. Here we have now file 3, and we have sync settings, and here we have a file 3 CSV file and mapping things. But here you can see that this is a mapping. Okay, I have the same things which I have for pipeline 1 and 2 and now 3 as well. So if I run this pipeline, you will see what happened. So before that, let's go to here. So at the moment, you can see we have 2 files, but when I run my pipeline, you will see third files as well, which is a file 3.csv. And let's go to source container, which is this, and it has a file 3. So this is a file 3. Let's download and see how it will look. So this is a file C. So you can see that I have 4 elements 2, 1, book 2, book 3, and book 4. So these are the 4 books, and inside they have here you can see that they have a language, item which is English, but they don't have a type, so it's empty element. But so type is null basically. But here you can see that they have languages and types, and here you can see that they have languages and type, and as well as for here as well. So for example, if I run this one and I would like to insert data into language table, then how many data should be there? So you can see that in first book, which is book BK101, I have a one language. In a book 2, I have a one language, so total item 2. And in book 3, I have a 2 languages, so total item 4. And here I have a 3 items. So total output will be 7 rows in a language table. And same way you can calculate for types, and it will be a 6. It will even include this null item as well. So this is my source, and if I go to here, and that is source, and let's go to here in a other container, which is output container anyway is null, so like empty, because it will data comes here once I run a pipeline. Okay, so now let's run this pipeline using copy activity. It won't give output what I needed, so that's why I cannot use a copy activity in such a situation. I can use a mapping data flow with a pattern transformation, and it's very easily and very quickly give you output, desired output. So pipeline has run, and if I go to here, if I refresh this, file will be created, which is this, and here you can see data. This is a slightly different one. You will see data here, but this data is like this. So this is not what I wanted. I wanted them into denormalized format. So this is not what I needed. So you can use this way, and then again you use another copy activity, and you can apply some, some logics here. So that way it's possible, but it still is not an efficient solution. So let's close this out. Let's go to here. So that is this solution, and this worked because of mapping, because here I have this mapping. But if I change this mapping, then you will see, I think I have one pipeline here for that, which is, I think I moved into here. I think this is the one. So same thing, but here you can see mappings are like that. And this is the reason why you have if you have a nested of array, or like nested of JSON, or nested of XML file, it's not working, because here it's only referencing the item 1, first item in this mapping. Otherwise you will, this is a one, otherwise you will get a result which we have recently seen, but they are slightly different, because they are like like pipe delimited or comma delimited, and it's like here collection of like this way. No, so not sorry, because they have individual object, but it's this one. So see, this one is a type, how it's look. In same way, and if I download in a file, this file, and if I open this file, you will see it's slightly different than, and also it's not denormalize it. So it's returning like this way. So this is not what we needed. We needed output, and it's here supposed to be 7 rows for language and 6 rows for types, but it's not here. So this is not expected. But if you have this kind of requirement, then you can still use the copy activity. So now let's go back to pipeline. And now let's go to see mapping data flow 1. So this is my pipeline with mapping data flow. And this is my mapping data flow. And if I go to here, just making it zoom. So this is my source, which is a XML source, and that is a file3.xml file. So this is the one, and you can preview it here. But before that, if you're doing first time, then you need to select your, you create your data set, which pointing to a file. And then here you are specifying the file name because I have a parameter in my data set. And then you need to import your projection. So once you import here projection, and before that you need to turn on debugger on, then you can import your projection. So once you import your projection, you will see your items look like this. So this is my XML data, and you can see that book is a complex type. These all things are simple, and language is also complex type, and there is a one more complex type is a types. So this is a complex data, and you can preview it here as well. No need to do because it will take some time. You need to provide all parameters. So now I need my data in proper format. So I will use a flatten transformation. So this flatten transformation I have done, I think, last few months ago, but recently they have improved. I think this month they have improved a lot. So here flatten transformation, what happened earlier, you have to use per flatten transformation per complex. So I have a complex object, mainly language and types. So this is a flatten transformation for language, and this is for this is for type, and this is for language. So I have to use two flatten transformation because it allow only at a time one here. So you can see that this is my flatten transformation, and here I'm unrolling. Unroll means your complex array object, if you unroll it, then it will give you an individual row. So if you have a complex object has 3 items in array, then you will get a 3 records in output. So this is a old thing before this April, but after this April they have done some improvements, and here you can see that I have only one flatten transformation. So if you have a 3 complex object, or let's see where is a file. So for example, here I have a language and types are complex object, but you can have more than one as well, more than 2 as well. So you can have a language, type, price, or maybe something else. So that all you can do in one flatten transformation. But earlier you have to use individual flatten transformation. So let's see new one. So this is new one, and I have one flatten transformation here. And then I'm because I have 2 different tables, so that's why I am selecting here few fields which is related to that particular tables. So here I'm selecting fields which related to language table, type table, and here I'm selecting few fields which is related to language table. And if you have a third table, then you can have another select here which is related to that third table, and then you can add sync as well. So this is a flatten transformation, and these are the properties. So you need to unroll by. So you need to select here complex object. So I have 3 complex objects. I have a books itself, I have a languages, and I have a type. So these are 3 complex type you can select, and you can click by plus this icon, and then you can select as many as you have in that file, and it is automatically coming. So once you click here plus and add column, and then you can see here it is automatically coming whatever is array. So here I have array which is books, languages, and third one is a types. So it will automatically come into here, so you don't need to remember anything. You just you will select from file. So this way you can add you set here unroll by, which is the array items, and then here you need to reset. First of all, when you do first time, you reset it, and then here you can select SC. I have selected ID and other columns as well. Actually I select all columns as well here because it's only one. So I have all columns as well as here you can see the types, and you can see somewhere, yeah, this is language as well. So here I have selected all language, and if I preview this, okay, I have to add here. So this one is a source. So source file is it's a file 3.xml, and here I need to type table, so like a tbl language, and let's add here tbl type. So I'm now previewing data from my that complex file, complex XML file, and I'm doing it in a flatten level. So before flatten, it will look slightly different here. I'm not sure I done preview here. So you will see it's all in one as object, and then inside you have a array item of the array, which is book 1, book 2, book 3, and inside it has a language 1, type 1, or like that. So
while you're doing that, Alpa, we have two questions. One from Attila. Can the input file name contain wildcards? For example, if the file name contains the generation time.
Yeah, you can do that as well, as long as their structure are same. File
okay,
structure
so the source file name you can just put in a star a wildcard, and then it will traverse all the files, or?
Yeah, but they're supposed to be all in same time, like list of JSON file or list of XML file, and their structure should be same.
Yeah, the structure needs to be the same, but it can just pick out the wildcards.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Great. So okay, and another question from Eric. What if the complex type contains another complex type? So complex type inside a complex type.
It will work, even though it will work for that as well, complex inside complex. Sometimes you need to add here another flatten, but I think they have improved in this April, so it may be work here. So it will allow you to select how much array you have. You can select here, and if it's not allowed here, then you can add another flatten type here, and then you will see it here. So that's what I did in previously, because previously it's allowed only to select first one complex type at a time. And then inside you have complex type, then you can add another flatten and you will select. So it will automatically see complex types. So it will work for that as well. So this is my source, but it's look like this. Book 1, book 2, book 3, and book 4. But if I see here, let's refresh. So this is according to new changes in this April. So you can see that now. This is my XML file. I have 4 objects, which is 4 books. Author. Here you can see genre, languages, price, title, publish, and types as well. I have a little mistake here, but you can see that here all objects, and I have total 11 rows because I have 6 rows for first thing and 5 rows for something else, languages. So these are the one, and if I go to here, select one. So I'm selecting here only particular columns which is related to that particular table. You can delete here or you can add new as well, and the same thing for here as well. Language type as well, language as well. So here I'm selecting only few other columns, and then you can preview as well here. So while it's doing that, let's see, you can see results as well here. So if I run this pipeline now, which is here, so once this pipeline will run, now it will insert 2 tables in a database in here. So at the moment it's still running. So you will see 2 tables and you will see individual data as well. So you can choose, and sometimes if it's not work with the same transformation, then it's always better to use 2 different, like how I did here. You can choose individual one as well, like this flatten transformation I have only used for language. So you can, or types, I only selected here types, and then here you can see that I have only 3 properties: type, price, and title. those three only. But if you want to add books as well, then you can add here book ID. I think you asked, so you can select here. Actually, so I am adding here one more item, which is book one. So here you can see that, I don't remember, is it a catalog ID? Yeah, so it's ID. So this is a book ID, which is, so you can see, you can select here as well, and it will display in output as well. And if you want to create new one, then very simple, you just go to data flow here and create new data flow. You add your source, which is, let's quickly add our source, and our file is this, and is pointing to, so this is wildcard, है ना? So you can have a star as well. You can have star.cs or CSV or this. Basically, it's complex one. So here you can use a star.json or star.xml file, all file, but it's supposed to be same types. Okay, and then here you can. I have this file, file 3.xml. Yeah, so here you can use a star or a list of other files as well, but this is particular files. And then for JSON, if your file is JSON, then you have to set here. You will see here another property, which is JSON setting property, and then you need to select which kind of the file you have. You have a JSON file with all in one as object or individual row or as a document or like that. But for XML, this is fine. You can you can do some other specification, like if you have a XML or SSD schema validation as well, then also you can select that, and you can store that file into same location in blob storage, and then you can select here as well. And then you import your projection, and here you again specifying your file, which is already there. So it's importing the projection, and so you can choose any file like this, and you can see that how it will look. So this is first step, and you can see this is all objects. You can see complex object and simple objects as well here. Sorry, in here. Yeah, and then you can add a flatten transformation. Here you just type here flatten transformation, and then here you will select properties. So see, first time it will be this. So what you will need to do, you need to reset it. You need to click here, so it will reset. And then here you need to select which array object you want to. So see, it's automatically allow you to select only the complex type. So if you have a language array inside another array, then you will see that as well. It's hierarchy structure. So you will see all complex object in that file in hierarchy way. So here I am using the book. And then I can add one new, which is I can select for languages. By scroll down, you don't need to type or anything, you just select here. And then one more for type. You can select pattern as well. For example, you have very complex file and it has more than 50-60 columns and they all are complex. Then you can use a pattern as well, which is this pattern. Then it will do automatically this for you, so you don't need to do manually. But here in our case we have only 3 types, so 3 fields have a complex type, so we can do this way. So that's it. And then here you need to select individual columns. Actually this is I think I don't like this design, because yeah, here you have to it's like if you're adding something in here, it is little bit yeah. So yeah, here if you want to add, then you just click on add mapping, and here also you can have a rule base as well. If you have more than certain columns, then better to use rule base. And here you can select any, like book ID, or you can select any columns like language or whatever you want to required. You can select that one. That's it, and then you can preview here. And once you're happy with your result, you can store into sync. Okay, so let's go to see in here what happened. See, these are the outputs. But now let's see what happened in here. I think we executed this pipeline. So yeah, it's ran successfully. And you can see here, it's storing the result into SQL database here. And there are two tables. And if I go to here, and if I refresh this, you will see two different tables. So these are the new tables. And if I select here, so you can see a data as well. Yep. So now
great. Yeah.
So now let's go back to here. So these are the very quick, you can do it using the map flatten transformation. How complex you file, you can do it, and you can have a two different table, or you can have a two different complex object into one table as well. So for that, what you will do, you will just so for that, you just first of all, you will do individual table, and then here you can add one more transformation, like here you can join as well. So you can join, and then you can join the output of these two results and you store in one table as well. So that way also possible. And you do so many other things here. Once you have this, you can use union or join, or you can do other combination as well. You can use aggregation function or something. So this is the demo 3, and with that, I would like to thank you for attending this session. And I am now open with a question, if we have any more.
I actually have one, Alpa. When we move from the standardized pipeline approach with the copy activity to the mapping data flow, I guess we see a price increase in the Azure consumption. Do you know what that is, just roughly speaking?
Yeah. Mapping data flow is costly actually. So that's why I said if you have a simple file, XML or JSON file, then you don't need to use mapping data flow. But if you have a complex, then you use mapping data flow. And it is a slightly price more because it's used cluster, which is used Databricks cluster, Spark cluster, and that is costly. So few advices you can like this is the one. If you are a data engineer and you're working, so you turn this off if you not needed because it charges. But in production one, it's because of integration runtime and Spark cluster. So I think here it has used auto integration runtime, but let's go to pipeline. You will see here. So this is my data flow. I'm calling into pipeline, and in setting, you can see here integration runtime. This is the one. So by default is nowadays small because they have recently changed. Otherwise it was bigger as well. So I think now it's little bit good than previously, because previously it was it's little bit bigger, but here it has a small. So it's always small, then it's good. But in production, it depends on what you have choose here. You need larger or small, or if you are small, then it's cost effective. Then it won't be much charge.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah. So,
wait, I can see Christian is typing. Would you please elaborate a bit on working on larger and possible multiple datasets?
Sorry, I didn't get. Can you please repeat it? Can I see here?
Yeah, you can just see it in the chat. Could you please elaborate a bit on working on larger and possible multiple datasets? Perhaps, Christian, if I give you the possibility to unmute, then allow Mike. Christian, if you unmute, then you can ask the question.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Sure. Yeah. So that's a very vague question. So apologies for that, and thank you for the presentation, Alpha. All right. So let's say we have like a huge data set coming in from some client that we need to process. This is probably XML, so this should be rather easy to map, right? You said something about having a mapping tool You briefly mentioned that before, like, or do I have to actually build out every single set in the UI?
Oh, so are you talking about the amount of columns?
Yeah,
Number of columns?
amongst others,
Yeah.
yes. And what if I need to then follow-up question on that? What if I need to combine multiple data sets, possibly with like enriching it with some external source?
Mhm.
Would this be a data factory thing, or would I just be better off writing Azure function doing this?
No. Okay, you can do it with Azure Data Factory. So let me repeat it again. So your question is, you have a two different data source set, or maybe more than that, and it has a columns as well, individual columns, and you join those two data set and you creating new data set. Is that correct?
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah, so okay, so it will work. So it has 100 columns, then also it will work. And sometimes if it's more than certain columns, you do not like to type manually. So that's why there is a pattern is there. Mm. So for example, where I seen pattern, yeah, here. So everywhere, even select or derive columns, you will see there is a pattern. So like for example, if I clicking here, you can see column or column pattern. So you can use that pattern. So it will apply based on a type of that column or maybe certain value or something else. So it's, if repetitively you doing, then you don't need to type here 100 columns. You know? So you can have you can use that pattern for many columns, like more than one columns or 100 columns or like that. And regarding another question is, if larger data as well, if your data set is quite big in terms of the number of row, then also your data factory will support, because it support more terabytes of data as well, petabytes of data as well. So that will work, but it will costly as well, because it use more compute power as well, but it will work. And for joining two different data source, you can use join as well here. Okay, let's add here maybe join. So yeah, so for example, I have two outputs, so I have two different data sets, so I can join them as well. So here I can use join. Sorry. So you can use this join transformation, and you can select here which data source you need to join. So here I'm saying I need to join types and language as well. So you can see here, you can choose either which kind of the join you need based on particular key, or maybe cross join or like that. And then here you will selecting, I'm not sure what is common in both.
Yeah, so let's say I just had to reach out to a SQL server to pick up some data. I would be able to, in the pipeline, define the data type for that and then do the lookup based on the XML I've passed.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, you can do that as well. Yeah, so this mapping data flow is so powerful. Behind the scene is use of Scala language, and you can see code as well here. It generate Scala. This is JSON, but these are the one. So yeah, you can have a many column as you needed. I'm not sure. There may be a certain limit, maybe 250 or something, but I'm not sure at the moment. But you can have more than certain columns. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Alpa. We have a small thing from Attila. Perhaps you could show it. The conditional data loading possible.
Conditional loading.
I think it is if you have one action in your pipeline, and then the next one should only execute if this one is successful.
Yeah. So that one, let's go to here. So this is the pipeline, and these are the activities I said earlier. So you can see these all are the activities. So for example, once this copy activity is success, I want to do something else. Let's say do some transformation after that. Okay, so I'm drag and drop this. These components, and here you can see that these are the different kind of things. Like if it's pipeline, even though this step failed, if you like to execute this next step, then you can do this. Or if this successful, then you want to do, then you can remove this. and see green line is here. So on success. So this step is successful, then and then this step will work. If this step is failed, then this will not execute. So this way you can use this conditional one. Yeah. So if that answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions from the audience? No. Well, I would like to thank you, Alpa, for this session. I at
so
least
sorry,
learned...
Brian.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Yeah, sure.
I'm still unmuted, so sorry I took the liberty here
Come on,
to jump in. So is there a good way to calculate potential cost? Because you just spoke about if I do a lot of processing, right? So is there any cost calculator related to this?
Yeah. In Azure, I think for everything you have that price calculation as well, and I think someone you can find even here somewhere as well. Okay, so this is for that, but price calculation, we have a price calculation in here. This is the one. And another thing is here, I think somewhere in settings, let's go to setting here. So maybe in these settings. So here also, I think you can see your billing if you want to know based on Data Factory, which have more than one pipelines, or you can have based on per pipeline as well. So you can set here as well and see exact which pipeline is taking longer, like, costly, or you can see in here this price calculation as well. Where it's gone? I think it's this one. Yeah, so this is a price calculation, but it's not exactly what you needed. It's like rough price calculation. So you can select here Azure Data Factory. I think it may be in integration one. Have you used this price calculation?
Yes. And I was just about to write, so I would still have to make some informed guesses around the processing required for the data factory.
So you like to know like how many activities you have, how many number of read and write you needed, and those all will count. Like, so
yeah, and if I could help a bit on that, then after you have debugged or executed the pipeline, you can see the execution details, and based on that, if you then go back into the Azure calculator and type in the actual run cost, you will more or less begin to know what each pipeline run will cost, because it is not that difficult to guesstimate more or less roughly what a pipeline will cost if you start to do this daily or every time you do your pipelines. When you have done a debug run, then open the run details and see what amount of seconds has it run, how many data has it moved, and then based on that you can type it into the data calculator, and then you'll get a roughly estimate, and then based on that you will begin to know what a pipeline run will cost. But there are no silver bullet there.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Oh.
But actually, it's always nice to redesign your pipeline as well. Like sometimes you have so many activities here. You don't need them so many activities. So you can use, like, for example, every time you're using the if activities for so many calculation, you can do something else like expression. So if you use expression, then it's only one calculation. But if you use individual activity, then there is a price for individual activity, which number of activity plus how much time it took as well. So you need to design maybe nicely. And another thing is for each loop you use, and you passing everything, instead of you can use one filter logic there, or maybe in expression you use that you have 100 files, but you only need to pass 3 files or 10 files, which is CSV or which is starting from specific file name. So instead of giving everything, you give whatever is really needed rather than giving everything. So that will save some time as well as improve performance as well. So there are few things after developing your pipeline. Second phase is to you optimize your pipeline. Then you can save a lot of cost. Yeah.
Yes. Anything else on the chat or from the attendees? Christian is typing.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot. Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you, Alpa, for presenting this for us. At least I learned a few bits and bytes here around unfolding the XML structures. So, and I hope the rest of the attendees also did. We went a bit over time here, but I thought that it was valuable time to bring to the table. So, thank you, Alpa, and thank you for this session, and thank you for the attendees. And I hope to see you on May 11 with Kevin Chant.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you for questions.